Now, I believe this is a good transition to talk about something that I believe is very interesting, at least for our generation, for the people of our age, people who shall grow up in the information cycle. There's an article here from The Guardian. Facebook, a top cause of relationship trouble, say U.S. lawyers. The social networking site is becoming a primary source of evidence in divorce proceedings and custody battles, lawyers say. Now, before we get into the article here, The Guardian and other publications, of course, have talked about this. And we first mentioned this on Liberty and Exile a couple of months ago when we had the preacher in New Jersey who told an entire congregation, "You must get off the Facebook. It is the devil's playground, and it is causing divorces across the country." And then it was revealed later that actually that same pastor actually got involved with a woman on the Facebook, divorced his wife. That's how the story goes. But continuing with the article here, when Facebook gets involved, relationships can quickly fall apart, as Hosni Mubarak and Muammar Gaddafi have discovered. Nice pun. But dictatorships are not the only ties being dissolved by social networking sites. Now Facebook is increasingly being blamed for undermining American marriages. Even though the rate of divorce in the U.S. has remained largely stable in recent years, American divorce lawyers and academics have joined Middle East analysts in picking out Facebook as the leading cause of relationship trouble, with American lawyers now demanding to see their clients' Facebook pages as a matter of course before the start of proceeding. We're coming across it more and more. One spouse connects online with someone they knew from school. The person is emotionally available and they start communicating through the Facebook, said Dr. Stephen Kimmons, a clinical psychologist and marriage counselor at Loyola University Medical Center near Chicago. Yet while the U.S. media has been quick to trumpet any evidence of Facebook as the country's leading marriage wrecker, the truth is, it's complicated, as the site's relationship status would have it. A 2010 survey by the American Academy of Matrimonial Lawyers found that 4 out of 5 lawyers reported on an increasingly number of divorce cases citing evidence derived from social networking sites in the past 5 years, with Facebook being the market leader. 2/3 of the lawyers surveyed said that Facebook was the primary source of evidence in divorce proceedings, while MySpace was within 15% and Twitter, with 5%, lagged far behind. Those statistics included not just evidence of infidelity, but other legal battles, such as child custody cases in which parents deny using illicit drugs but boast of smoking marijuana on their Facebook pages. Photographs harvested from social networking sites, including those posted by friends or colleagues on their own pages, are a particularly rich source of damning evidence, according to divorce lawyers. This sort of evidence has gone from nothing to a large percentage of my cases coming in, Linda Lee Vicken, a member of the divorce lawyers group, told South Dakota Associated Press. If you publicly post any contradictions to previously made statements and promises on your Facebook site, an estranged spouse will certainly be one of the first people to notice it and make use of the evidence. Now, isn't that interesting? Facebook relationships. These are the things that are pressing for the people of our generation, causing divorce. Number one cause of divorce, they say. They're blaming the medium, of course. That's how it always is. It's always about blaming the medium. Oh, Marshall McLuhan, if you were alive today, how upset would you be? Now, when looking at this issue, at this entire problem, it always comes down to blaming the medium and not looking at the people themselves. Of course, it never has anything to do with people. No, no, no. It's only the extensions of people. That is, radio, telephone, television, letters, technology. These are the things which bring us these troubles. These are the things that trouble our marriages and make it impossible to communicate with our kids and to make it so we don't get along with people anymore. I tell you, when there was a man back in the day writing a letter to his mistress, did his wife say that the letters were the cause of his infidelity? When the first woman began seeing another man leaving telephone messages, did the husband blame the telephone as the culprit? How far are we willing to let this go? We should remember the words of Walter Lippmann, the studies of that great intellectual who realized and understood what communication was, what the medium was. Now today, They look to blame Facebook as the latest of these culprits. Facebook, however, is just a system. It's a network. It's a way for people to communicate. That does not mean that they shall necessarily go right to infidelity and divorce and everything of the like. Everyone knows that 99.9% of the information on Facebook or Twitter or any of these sites is absolutely nothing. It's what type of orange juice you had today. It's what your puppies look like. Not when and where we shall be meeting for great, lumptuous sex. But of course that is what the people are trying to push out. And there are other things that you could look at in this debate, in this issue. Blaming the medium, not looking at human beings themselves. Why don't people understand that? Why don't people look within themselves? Nocte ipsium, as Thomas Hobbes once said. Know thyself before you shall go and try to blame others. But of course that is what we try to do, because we are, as human beings, the first ones complacent to throw away the charge that we are responsible. It's never human beings, it's never human nature, it's never us, it's always something else. And this just proves it. And of course these divorce lawyers, they want more of this because then they just get more money. But that is one happening in Liberty in Exile's world that we are considering and covering and giving to you. Alright, that does it here for Liberty in Exile. I'm your host, Iola Sosky. Do check out our website, libertyinexile.com. There, of course, we do have the articles, everything we talked about on the show, and many more posts coming to you in the coming weeks. Now, we've covered the state of affairs in Japan, the growing paranoia and hysteria gripping the nuclear nation, the continued false war against human beings in Libya, on a quest for oil as the empire strikes again, Facebook divorces, and the changing face of technology in our age. The greatest message to take forth is that the individual is what is strong, what is to be favored, and that you, only you, shall determine your own happiness. It shall not be a government bureaucrat, it shall not be another acting on your own behalf. Know thyself. Nosce ipsium. That is what is important in this life. Thank you very much. I'm your host, Iola Sosky. Au revoir et bonne chance à tous.
We must not confuse dissent with disloyalty. We must remember always that accusation is not proof, and that conviction depends upon evidence and due process of law. We will not walk in fear one of another. We will not be driven by fear into an age of unreason if we dig deep in our history and our doctrine, and remember that we are not descended from fearful men, not from men who feared to write, to associate, to speak, and to defend the causes that were for the moment unpopular. This is no time for men who oppose Senator McCarthy's methods to keep silent, or for those who approve. We can deny our heritage and our history, but we cannot escape responsibility for the results. We proclaim ourselves, indeed, as we are, the defenders of freedom wherever it continues to exist in the world, but we cannot defend freedom abroad by deserting it at home. The actions of the junior senator from Wisconsin have caused alarm and dismay amongst our allies abroad, and given considerable comfort to our enemies. And whose fault is that? Not really his. He didn't create this situation of fear. He merely exploited it, and rather successfully. Cassius was right. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves. Good night, and good luck.